Greeting, good citizens. My name is Vivienne de Dunbar, and I'm going to be showing you some of my tips and tricks for how to do some period 12th century Norman hairstyles and headgear to just step up your game a little bit with your garb. As you can see, I'm wearing this fantastic garb that my friend Countess Rosalinda of Acker made for me. And if I want to look like I really stepped out of the pages of a manuscript, it's all about the accessories. The right shoes, pouch, jewelry, and nothing ups your game on your garb like having the correct head covering. So the goal of this class is to give you my tips and tricks for making it look like you're wearing the correct head covering that you would find in a painting. It's not necessarily what is the most period way to do it. In fact, some of the things I'm going to show you are very modern ways to get your hair the way you want it. And basically this is just what I use to keep everything in place. I encourage you to do your own research, use this information as a jumping off point, and decide how far you want to go in your dressing, how period you want to be. We're going to start right now with veils. Veils are an easy way to cover up modern hair color, cuts, ear piercings, and it just really brings everything together. A lot of people find wearing a veil very difficult because it slips, it slides, it can be long and it can be heavy. So I'm going to show you how, with the things that I do to keep my veil in place. When I first started wearing veils, I would just try and keep it on with a circlet. So I wear the circlet and I would make it as tight as possible, and all it really did was give me a headache. And my veil, it didn't keep my veil in place at all. So I've come up with some ways that I've found that make it stick really in place. Now, the pictures that I'm showing you right now are some period references, some statues and some paintings of people wearing veils. And as you can see, in the 12th century, the veils were very long. Just like the garb, it was all about the conspicuous consumption, and we wanted to have long sleeves and full dresses and long veils. So the veil that I'm going to be using is an oval, and this is really long. In fact, it's too long. It actually pulls a lot, and I put beads on it, which makes it even heavier. So it's really important to make this type of veil secure on you. Otherwise, it's just going to be slipping all day. Okay, so for what we're going to use today to do this hairstyle, I'm going to use a spray bottle with water, some gel, hairspray, a hair fence, I'll show you what that is, hair ties, a linen headband, some veil pins, either decorative or small straight pins, a comb and or brush, a veil. So before I put on the veil, I'm going to prepare my hair and get it out of the way as much as possible. You can do this right after you shower when your hair is wet, or you can do it when your hair is dry. I always plan on taking a shower before an event in the morning, and then I've been in the SCA for 30 years and I'm still crazy person in the morning trying to get ready before an event, so usually my hair is dry. So what we're going to do is I have this spray bottle of water, and I'm just going to wet my hair just to make it easier to deal with. And this is just plain water. Okay, so then I'm going to, you can use a comb or brush, whatever works for you. I have this comb, I'm just going to comb the water in to make sure it gets in there. Okay, then I'm going to use a liberal amount of hair gel. And then what's going to happen, because the hair is wet, when you put the hair gel in, your hair is going to stay flattened. And the goal with this hairstyle is you're not even going to see my hair. So you don't have, it'll give you the wet look, but it won't matter because you won't see it. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let me get some in the bottom because I don't want flyaways. And my hair has a modern cut. I have layers in it, so I'm going to put it in a bun in the back, but I will get flyaways if I don't put a lot of product in there. Okay, so then again, I'm going to go through it with the comb and make sure it's evenly distributed into my hair. Okay. Now, this is my big trick. This is a hair fence. At least that's what I know it as. It might be called something else. And you can get these for a couple of dollars in any kind of box store. So I've gotten them in Walmart, I've gotten them in CVS, I've gotten them in the supermarket. And this really helps me keep my hair off my face. And then it's also, you'll see, it'll help when I put the headband on. And so this goes around, it closes. So you put it around like a necklace. And you secure it. And now if you're going to have long earrings on, you want to take them off before you do this because they will get snagged. And then you just kind of make sure that it gets stuck in. And if you, sometimes these are like a white color or something, it doesn't have to match your hair because you're not going to see it. So it does not need to match your hair color. And then I just try and get my hair as flat down as I can get it. And so you can see it's all off of my face and you can see my big, huge forehead. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the rest of my hair back and out of the way. I'm going to use a brush for this. I'm just going to brush it and I'm going to do a bun, but I want it to be flat to the back of my head. I don't want it sticking out straight so that the veil, you know, I want the veil to cascade down my back. So I'm just going to use a hair tie and I'll turn around. So I'm just going to try and make sure that it's as flat as possible. And now, you can either braid it or not. And I'm going to use a really small elastic on the back, just so it doesn't add bulk. And then I have these really cool hairpins. Let me turn around and show you. So these are corkscrew hairpins. I don't know if you can see them. But they're, you can use bobby pins, but these screw into your hair and they stay really well. Your hair will not move. They're a little bit more expensive than regular bobby pins, but it's worth it. And to put a bun in the back, you only need to use 2 or 3.
You're gonna need
So I'm going to use 3. And they just screw right in. And there you go. So now my braid is in place. I have my bun in the back. I have my hair slicked down. And if there is one thing I have learned from growing up in the 80s, it's that more hair product is always better. So now I'm going to cover it all in some hairspray. So not only is this going to keep it in place, but it's going to make my hair stickier. Which is good because hair is normally very slick and then everything slides around and that's part of the problem. Okay. Alright, so now I'm gelled and hairsprayed and everything's back and you can clearly see that I have all these piercings, but the veil's going to hide that. So the next thing I do is I put on a linen headband. So this is just, I took some linen and sewed it into rectangle and then put these ties on it. Now you can make this out of any fabric, but linen has a little bit more grip, and since the veil I'm putting on is linen, it'll make it a nice stick. And if you're wearing a silk veil, you definitely want to have a fabric that has more stick. So this is just, I just tie it in the back. And you want to make sure that it covers the hair fence. So see, now you don't even see it. Okay, so now this is what we're going to pin the veil to. So now I take my veil, and then we put it on. So now the pins are going to be what holds the veil in place, so that I don't even need the circlet. I'm going to wear the circlet because it makes the look, you know, a nice final look, but the pins are what's going to work. So now you can either use, I have these decorative pins, but you can also use just some little straight pins, and you can use a combination. Now the straight pins, you're not really going to see them once they're in, so you can put in as many as you want there. And nobody will see it. And because, as I said, this veil is heavy, I'm going to put a few extra pins in there. You can see already what a difference the veil makes to the overall look. I feel like, I always say that if you're not wearing head covering, you're wearing a costume. But once you put the head covering on, now you're wearing clothing. Now you look like you have the right silhouette. Okay, so now I'm going to put in some of these fancier ones, and I'm going to put these off to the side, but I also want to, because these are longer, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to get this, I can actually put this under the hair fence. I can get the linen headband and the hair fence, and that's going to stabilize this even more. There we go. And one over here. I got a little bit on my scalp, but that's alright. Okay. So now I have those in. They're not real straight, but okay. So now my veil is on. I'm pulling on it, and it's not, you know, it's going a little bit, but so now the circlet is just the after. Ta-da! And that's the final look. So now this is a, you know, a heavy veil. It's really long, but that's going to stay. And I mean, of course, I'll, you know, have to play with it to get it right where I wanted to. But you don't see, you know, a lot of my ears are covered, and so that's how you put on a veil. So now you know how to put a veil on. Now we're going to add something to it. We're going to add braids. Here are some pictures, some other extant pictures that I have where you can prominently see braids are featured. Very long hair, you want to show off your long, beautiful hair. But if you don't have long and beautiful hair, you can always use fake hair and make it work for you. So I'm going to show you both ways. I'm going to show you, you know, using just your hair, and then how you can add fake hair in. You can actually do all fake hair. In the next segment, I'm going to show you a wrapped braid. But if you want to, instead of wrapping the braid, you could just make a fake braid. And then you'll see how you can attach that on. But for this, we're going to start a braid, and then I'm going to add in some fake hair. Now, what I do, I use very inexpensive hair that I get from the beauty supply store. It's something like this. I mean, these are probably under $10. This was gifted to me. This hair is black with some gray in it. And then here's one that's out of the package, and this is a blonde-ish copper color. And the way that it comes, it's really long, and it can fold in half. So you fold it in half. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Now, again, you can do this with your hair dry and wet it and braid it. It works a little bit better if it's really wet. So I would try and take a shower before you braid your hair. It's just easier to do when it's really wet. And especially for me, because my hair is cut with layers, if it's not really wet, it's kind of hard to get it to smooth down. And I put a ton of gel and hairspray in it to try and get it smoothed down so that I don't have flyaways all over the place. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a spray bottle of water, hair gel, hairspray, comb and brush, linen headband, veil pins, straight pins, fake hair, a veil, a circlet, and I have these little elastics that I'm going to put around the bottom, and then a ribbon or yarn or lashing or something to tie off as a decorative over the braid. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to really wet my hair. I'm going to get it as wet as I can get it without really dunking it. Brush it all in. Okay. That's really wet. Okay. So, mundanely, I like to braid my hair, and when I braid it, I usually braid it, I pull it behind my ear, and then I braid it down like this. But that's not really the way that it should go medievally. You want your braids to kind of come in front, hang down, so kind of from your temples. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to part it in the middle. And part it in the back. And I'm going to start my braid here. And this is really going to give you the maximum length. It's really going to flow down in the front because you want your braid to hang down in the front, so that you can show off your beautiful long hair. Now, you know, my hair is not nearly long enough for a proper Norman lady, so I'm going to add some fake hair to it. Okay, so it's nice and wet. So the trick here is going to be to have my hair blend with the fake hair so that you really can't see where one begins and one ends. And it's going to be a little tough because my hair color does not match the color of this hair that I have. Plus, this hair has seen better days, but I do just want to give you an idea of what it'll look like. So I'm going to, because there's such a difference between the two, I'm going to try and blend it in pretty high up. So again, we're going to pull it here so that the braid is going to come from my temple and lay straight. I have this hair in half. So I'm going to get it into 3 sections, and you can see how different my hair is from the fake hair. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Alright, so then we get it up there and we start braiding. This is going to be a bit of a mess. It's stuck on my ring. Hopefully it'll get cleaner looking as we go. That's not too bad. So hopefully my hair is blending in and it won't really make that much of a, it won't really stand out that much. And this is some really fake looking hair, so I would use a better hair for this. Okay, so then when I get down to the bottom, I'm going to take one of my very small elastics and I'm just going to wrap it around. And then what you can do is you can take some ribbon or some leather wrapping or yarn and just wrap it around and tie it in a knot or something, and then that'll be the end of, you know, so it doesn't look like there's an elastic band on there. Alright, so you can see here's the end of my hair sticking out. So my hair doesn't really work well with this style because of the way it's cut and the layers. I'm just going to do this in a regular braid. And you'll see how short my hair comes out. Alright. So that's not very clean at all, but that's all right. So there's a difference between my hair and my hair with the fake added in. So I'm going to take this linen headband and I'm just gonna kind of put it on there. Just so that I have something to pin the veil to. Because now I don't have the hair fence on and I don't want it to slip around. So I'm just going to put this in a knot. Okay. So then we're going to take now this veil that I have is rectangle. Some of the pictures that I looked at, it didn't really look like it was an oval veil, or maybe you're doing a different style. I thought I'd show you something different. So this fabric was, I got it from the fabric store. It was for a sari, and this is just cotton, and it had this great trim on it already attached. So I like to just use it like it is. It's decorative without having to do anything. And then I'm gonna get my straight pins and pin it to my linen headband. And then put in some of my nice long pins. And because it's long, I'll go in and out a couple times with it. Give it a little bit of extra stability. And then, now that's keeping it in place, and then I'm gonna top it off with the circlet. So actually I should put these higher up. It's never right the first time, you always have to play with it. There we go. So now you can really see the difference. If your hair isn't long, it's almost not worth having a braid. If it's this short, it looks pathetic. But this side, except for where you can see where my hair is sticking out, you can't really see up top that it's separate. And then with a long veil like this, if you want, you can wrap it and kind of give yourself some neck covering, you know, if you were doing that. But that's it. That's the braid, and that's the way it looks with braids. There's that look. If you want to get really fancy with your hair, you can wrap your hair with a ribbon. So this is the fake braid. You can do a hair wrap. Now, as you want to show off how long your hair is, it'll appear even longer if you just wrap it with a ribbon. If you were going to braid your hair, when you put your hair around itself, it's going to kind of shorten it, but when the ribbon is what's going around your hair, it makes it much longer. And this is a super fancy way. So if you want, if your hair is long enough, you can use a ribbon and just wrap your hair this way. But my hair is nowhere near long enough, and also my color has some henna in it, so it's not really a period color, so I prefer to use the fake hair. So I'm going to show you how to wrap it using the fake hair. I already did one side, so I have the other side, but I want to talk about what we're going to need. So for this, we're going to need a spray bottle with water, hair gel, hairspray, brush and comb, hair tie, corkscrew or bobby pins, comb, a needle and a thread, and the thread is going to be the same color as the ribbon that you're using to wrap your hair. You're going to need a yarn, or I use a crochet cotton, and a tapestry or blunt needle, like a yarn needle, and that's going to be the same color as your hair. You're going to need veil pins or straight pins, a veil, circlet, ribbon, and I try to use something that's not slick, so not like a satiny ribbon, at least 1.5 inches wide, and then some fake hair of your choice. That goes, so you can use this. You can use other kinds. So this other kind comes a little differently. This is attached to like a skull cap. And you can use this, it's just a little trickier. So what I did with this one, when I tried to do it, this is a nicer quality hair, is I actually cut it off the cap. This is for extensions. I cut it off of there and then used a really tight hair tie and then wrapped it with some string and kind of glued that string down so it really wouldn't go anywhere. You can do that. It's a lot more time consuming, but this is a really nice quality hair, so this will look more like real hair. As this is just wrapped, after a lot of use, the hair will start coming out of it. So you could sew it down, but I think you're going to have to wind up taking it out and rewrapping it anyway. So usually after I wear it once, I do a rewrap of it. This hair is at least 4 years old and has been through a couple of Penzicks, and it doesn't look too bad. So I just, rewrap it, and then it looks nice and tight, and I just sew it on the bottom. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So what I normally do is you want the ribbon to be like twice as long, at least twice as long than the hair. You're going to tie it, see how we have it in half. You're going to tie it in half. You're going to have enough to go over your head, and then you're going to have the other side, so the same thing along ribbon. And the way I tie it is I usually put it around a hanger and then hang the hanger off a doorknob or some other thing. So right now I'm just going to do that, and I have a clamp. I'm going to hang it right here. Now, just like I do with my own hair, is I'm going to wet this first, just so that I can smooth it down. And after I unwrap this, I did brush it out a little bit. It's still a little messy. But this is really for demonstration purposes. And this hair is completely synthetic. This is not actual hair, human hair. Okay. So I have the hair in half, and then I have the ribbon. So I'm going to start by just, and I have it in half, I'm going to start by wrapping it around. And now what you're going to do is you're going to wrap each individual strand. So I'm going to wrap the one on the left, and then I'm going to bring it around to the front, and then bring it around to the front, and then just wrap the right side. And now I'm constantly going to be fixing this as I go, because it's going to twist all over. And then I wrap it around both, and then instead of going around back of both, I just wrap it around the left, and then around the back of both in the front, and then around the right, and then around the front, and then instead of going back, I go around the left. You know, the first time I did this, it was confusing, but the more you do it, the easier it'll be. And just remember, the way that you want it to look is you want one wrap around the individual strand, and then one wrap around both strands, and then another one around the individual, and then wrap around both. And just make sure you alternate right and left. And if you mess up, you can always go back and do it again. No harm, no foul. See, now I have to go around the left, not the right. Okay, and so then this really isn't as long as I wanted it to be, but I'm going to end it off here. I'm just going to twist it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a needle and thread. I have some white thread, and I'm just going to put a couple stitches in that so it stays in place. Oops. And I'm just whip stitching it. Okay, and that's it. Tie a little knot. And done. Okay. So now I have some wrapped hair that I can put on under my veil. Now the benefit of The wrapped hair is, it doesn't have to match your hair color at all because you're not going to see my real hair. You're only going to see this. So if you want to try being blonde, you can go ahead and do that. And, you know, you don't have to worry if it doesn't match or if your hair is blue or any other color. This is a great way to hide it. So now this is kind of heavy. So we're going, and you could just pin it on, but it's going to wind up sliding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it onto my head. So I prepared my hair the same way that I did for just the veil when I had the linen headband. I wet my hair, I put in the hair gel, and then I put the hair fence on, and then I made the braid in the back, and I used the corkscrew pins, and I put it in there, and then I hairsprayed it down, and it's been dry for a while, so my hair is good and stiff. So instead of putting in a linen headband, we're going to use this. Now, just like with the regular braids, we want this to go at our temples. Now, I actually made this a little too long. There's where the length of my ribbon went. I want these to be higher up. So I'm just gonna sew them there. What I use to sew is, so this is a crochet cotton. It's not exactly the color of my hair, but you're never gonna notice that it's not when it's on there. So, and I have a needle that has a blunt tip. This is a tapestry needle. You can also use a yarn needle. And once this gets sewn on, it will not go anywhere. And you have to be careful when you take it off because you're using a thread that's close to your hair color. It's hard to see. So I remember I did my hair like this before I went to an event, and I wasn't able to get to a mirror to take it off, and we went out to eat afterwards. So I put on my mundane clothes and just left the braids in and put a bandana on, and, you know, I just left them in because it was too hard to take it off without having a mirror to see. So what I'm going to do is I have it folded in half, and I'm just going to put a knot. So I have a big loop, and now I'm going to put this where I want it. I want this part here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this through. I'm just going to get some of my hair. I'm going to get some of the fake hair and some of my real hair. I'm going to open this up and just pull it through, and that'll be the start of it. Now, what I'm going to try and do is not only get my hair and the fake hair, but I'm also going to wrap it around the hair fence. That'll give it some extra stability. I can pretty much do this without looking. I just do it by feel, really. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And when I first started doing this, I tried to use bobby pins to hold it on. I tried the corkscrew pins, but it's just too heavy. This is really the best way to do it. It doesn't hurt your hair, and because it's a blunt tip, I'm not hurting my scalp at all when I'm going against it, because it's a rounded tip. And you're not going to see any of this stitching or any of this as long as it's high up enough. The veil is going to cover it. Okay, so that's really all I need there. And then I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm going to go underneath the hair fence. And then over top of the ribbon. I'm going to try and get this flat because when it comes to pinning on the veil, I want to pin it onto the ribbon. Okay, and then just when you get to the other side, you're going to make sure that it's even. It doesn't really matter that this is too long. Okay. So I'm just going to do the same. I'm just going to go through my hair and the fake hair and put a couple stitches in there so that it stays. And if I was actually going to wear this out, I'd probably put more stitches in it, but just for the sake of this, I'm gonna leave it there. But you can see it's there. I don't have to touch it. It's completely stable. It's not going anywhere. It'd probably be a little bit more even. I would probably want to sew it down a little bit so it was a little bit more flat. You know, and it's already starting to slide just from being manhandled, so I fix it a little bit. Okay, so now, just like before, I'm going to take my veil. So this veil that I have here is a cotton veil. It's got a couple stains in it. This one's very old. And we're going to put this one on, just so you can see how different, you know, everything works the same. I'm going to put it on, and then I'm going to use some of my straight pins to pin it down. And because my hair is being held by the hair fence, if I can't get all ribbon, but I can, you know, just pin it to my hair, that's going to work too. Okay, then I'm going to put some of my fancier ones in that have the long pin. So that's going to go under the hair fence and then back out, give me a little bit more stability. Okay, again, my veil is secure, my hair is secure. This is just an accent piece. Now, what you can do for added security is I'm sticking the tops of the braid of the fake hair under the circlet. So now you can't really tell that, I mean, it's not even. But basically, unless you really inspected it, it doesn't really look like I have fake hair. I mean, anybody who knows me knows my hair's not this long, but, you know, that's the look. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found this enjoyable and useful, and you found some ideas to help you start putting your headgear together. And I encourage you to find pictures, extant pictures, statues, manuscript pictures of different outfits that you have, and start thinking about how you would do your hair and how you would do your veils, so that it would start looking, put the whole outfit together. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and be kind to each other. Bye.